All right, good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Tzadi Hey, Meseches Eruvin. We left off yesterday. We left off yesterday the machlokes between Rav and Shmuel regarding whether you say Pitikra Yoyed V'Seisem, whether you say that you have a roof, right? We say by a roof, halachically, right? Halachically, you have, the edge of a flat roof comes down. So where the roof, where the roof ends, so it comes down over there. So, and then Rav had the opinion, you could even say on all four sides, and that would basically permit you, let's say, in a pavilion, right? To do in a pavilion, to have all four sides to be a particular size, and therefore you can carry throughout underneath this pavilion. However, if you were, according to Shmuel, you cannot say it on four sides. So Shmuel says you cannot say it. So now the Gemara says 5 lines from the top on Tzadi Hey Amar Aleph. So Lema Abai v'Rav Pluksa the Rav Shmuel Kamifli. Let's say Abai and Rav in another case are actually the same machlokes as Rav and Shmuel, whether you say Pitik or Dever Seisem on 4 walls or not. D tomorrow said it was taught over there. Sichach al Gabe Achsadra. Let's say you have an Achsadra, right? Let's say you have some sort of like a porch area, right? And there's like pavilion, whatever. And you put schach on top of it, right? But there's no walls, right? There's no walls, but you have the roof. You have the schach there and the roof. Now, so now it has basically posts and there's like an edge, like where they put the schach on. So kshera, so it says like kshera, ein lepsimin, Abaye omar kshera, v'Rav omar psula. So if it doesn't have posts, this seeming that were along, right? As Rashi explains that these, I think it was Rashi, right? There were basically these posts, right, that were there, not just in the corners, but even within 3 tefachim, pachas megimel. So therefore, you basically have all these, like almost imagine like a porch, people have. When Reese looked at my sukkah, whether I needed actual wall or not, I actually really didn't, because they had all the posts that were, the vertical ones within one another. They were within 3 tefachim. So over there, in such a case, Abaya Makshera, V'Rava Rapsula. But that was if it had psimin. But if it didn't have those little posts in between the corners and it just had an open side on all 4 sides, Abaya Makshera, V'Rava Rapsula. Abaya says kasher and Rava says psula. Why is Abaya say kasher? You need 4 walls or whatever, 2 walls in Teva. You need walls for a sukkah. So Abaya Makshera, Amar Pitigor Yavisaisim. He says, simple, you just say Pitigor Yavisaisim. You say the edge of the roof comes down. It's like a halachic wall. Therefore, you have 4 walls and 4 sides, and your sukkah is perfect. The Rav Amar Psula. Lomar Pitigor Yavisaisim. Rav says, no, it's Psula, right? We do not say Pitigor Yavisaisim. So Lema Abai Karav. Let's say Abai holds like Rav. You can say Pitigor Yavisaisim on 4 sides. The Rava Kishmuel. And Rava would hold like Shmuel that you do not say Pitigor Yavisaisim. Therefore, this sukkah lacks walls. And since the sukkah lacks walls, therefore it's Psula. So Gemara says, no. Aliba the Shmuel Kaliyam Alei Pligi. According to Shmuel, right, then he would obviously have to say in this case, right, it doesn't work. So ki pligi aliba the Rav. Obviously, Shmuel would say it's possible. You can't say Pitigor even in the case of Shabbos. So certainly can't say by a schach and by a sukkah. But maybe even Rav, you can't necessarily say that Abai would say like Rav. Why? Aliba the Rav, Abaye Karav. The Rava, and Rava would say there, Ad Kalon Kamer Rav Hasam. Rava would say, no, even according to Rav, right? Only over there does Rav say you can say Pitigor Yavisaisim Hasam Ela Dahani Mechitzas Achsadra Avidi, because those walls, right, the roof was made for the Achsadra. But over here, right, when you have this pavilion that was built, right, and the frame of which you put the schach on top, so that frame, which is like a permanent structure, they just put schach on top of it. That permanent structure wasn't made for the purpose of sukkah, right? That structure was made for throughout the year. You just come in and put your schach on top. So to go ahead and say that these walls come down to make halachic wall for a sukkah, maybe even Rav would agree that we wouldn't say Pitigor Yavisaisim in that case. And therefore, you don't necessarily say that Abaye and Rava have the same machlokes as Rav and Shmuel, because the Rava would argue that maybe even Rav in this case would say psula because the roof was not made, or the frame was not made for the purpose of sukkah. Fine. 2 dots. Now, Rabbi Yosi Aimer Imutarim. So we had a case, the Mishnah which we saw yesterday was discussing a case of a a wall that fell down on Shabbos. So one says, oh, the end of the Shabbos is mutter, but after Shabbos, for next week, it's no good. And in the other case, Rabbi Yossi says, if it's mutter next Shabbos, then it's mutter today. If it's usher next Shabbos, then it'll be usher today. So the question is, Rabbi Yossi the Isser or the Heter? Is he coming to give a Heter or an Isser? Does he say, well, maybe because this Shabbos is good, also next Shabbos, even without a wall, it's okay? Or is he saying, L'chumra, L'Isser, saying, since next Shabbos, you're not going to have the wall there, and it's going to be Usser unless you fix it. So to this Shabbos is going to be Usser, even in the middle of the Shabbos. Which is, by the way that we learned it. And Rav Sheshes, L'Isser, right? This is going to be L'Isser, just like we said, that no, just because next Shabbos you don't have the fourth wall or whatever wall was there, it's not going to be good. So to now, in the middle of Shabbos, it's not going to be good. That's Rabbi Yossi Shita, V'chein Amar Rabbi Yechon L'Isser. So to Rabbi Yechon says L'Isser. And Tanya Mehacha is similar in a Brayso. So Rabbi Yossi Kshem Shesyon L'Asir L'Avo, just like it's going to be Usher next week because you don't have the wall because it fell down. Kacha certainly as the Shabbos. In the middle of Shabbos, it fell down. It's also no good. So Itamar. Rav Chia bar Yosef Omar halacha k'Rab Yossi. The halacha is like Rabbi Yossi. In other words, they have Shabbos started, all of a sudden, boom, it's Aser Ushmol Omar halacha k'Rabbi Yehuda. Halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. That halacha is that no, it's still mutter to do it. Umi Omar Shmuel, the Shmuel rule like Rabbi Yehuda case, but now Mishnah Rabbi Yehuda says Rabbi Yehuda b'medvar murim b'v'ritchum. We're talking about another machlokes over there. We're talking about a person becoming a shaliach for somebody else and going ahead and making an eruv on their behalf, basically without telling them. So you can only do that from what we said it's also by eruv tchumen. Eruv tchumen, you need actual consent to go ahead because by eruv tchumen, as we explained, right? So who knows? Maybe I wanted to go west. So who said you should make an eruv tchumen for me in the east? So therefore, you can't make an eruv tchumen without someone's knowledge. However, to go ahead and basically allow someone to carry where there is no downside, you can go ahead and make an eruv whether he knows about it or does not know about it. Because you're allowed to go ahead and do a schus for someone, right, without telling them, right? And in other words, since it's good for somebody, so therefore I don't even need his consent since it's 100% good. But you can't do something which would be bad, a detriment for somebody without his consent. The Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, and says that over there, Rav Yehuda name is Shmuel, halacha Rabbi Yehuda. The halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda over there that says that only by erev tchumen you need consent, but erev v'chatzeros you do not need. V'lod ella kol malka. Not only that says Shmuel, but kol malka sheshana Rabbi Yehuda be'erevin halacha kamosa. The halacha is always like Rabbi Yehuda, right? Which would sort of work with what we just said, because we just said that Shmuel said the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, that it's mutter to still carry on Shabbos if part of the wall fell down. But Amar Le, however, that over there was challenged. Amar Le Rav Chana Dagdasa Le Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel. So he asked, according to you, Rabbi Yehuda, the name of Shmuel, Afilu b'mavui shenita karas olachiav. What about a case, which is actually one of the cases of our Mishnah, identical case of you have a mavui, right? You have an alleyway that they set up a beam before Shabbos. They set up a wall or a beam, right? Either parallel to the ground or perpendicular, right? And we say over there, if it was taken, if you take one of those on Shabbos for the mavui, can you still carry on Shabbos? So he said, that over there is not halacha of eruvin. That's halacha of mechitza. So therefore, in that case, I ruled against Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says mutter. In that case, I rule against Rabbi Yehuda, says Shmuel. So what do you see from our case? That Shmuel does not hold like Rabbi Yehuda. We hold like Rabbi Yossi. That if the korah or the lechi fell down on Shabbos from the mavui, you would not be able to go ahead and carry the mavui. So you see that Shmuel will hold like Rabbi Yossi, not like Rabbi Yehuda. So Amar Rav Anan, so says Rav Anan, Ledidim Vershili, Minei, well, Kan, the Shnibitz of the Karmas, Kan Shnibitz of the Shisarab. Two different cases. If the case where he ruled, right, where he, over there where he said, in our case where he ruled like Rabbi Yehuda that it's mutter to continue and carry, which is the case of the Mishnah, that's if it's open into a karmelos. Since it's open into a karmelos, this mavui, therefore it's not as severe. There's no doraisa there, and therefore we will allow you to carry to continue carrying on Shabbos, and therefore that was the case in the Mishnah. But over there where he said no, that's a halacha mechitza, not a halacha of eruvin. Right, that was open when it was open to a Rishus Harabim. Open to Rishus Harabim, then he would rule. Shmuel would rule against Rabbi Yehuda, and he would say it would be usher to go ahead and carry, and therefore it is not a contradiction in Shmuel passing like Rabbi Yehuda or not. Fine. Naya Mishnah. Mishnah says, "Haboina aliyah agabi shnei batim v'chein gesharim." So one who basically goes ahead and builds a house, right, on two houses. So basically what you have is you have two houses that are facing each other, and you build a house basically over them like a bridge, like that in the Bahamas. They have that, the hotel. I've never been there. I don't know. But they have the suite, whatever is over. So they have basically two houses here, and they have this house. They built a second floor on top of it, basically over the street. So two bridges, which are open on both sides. So there's two walls inside, and you can walk on the bridge. You can go ahead and carry underneath him. That is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, right? Why? Because we say you have two good walls on one side, and then where you have the open sides, that you say pitikar, where the bridge ends, right? That halachically comes down, and therefore now you're basically surrounded by four walls. However, the Chachamim say, no, it's usher. Since you only have two walls, you don't have four walls, it's no good. Furthermore, says Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda, you can be ma'arev a mavi and mafulish. Mavi is an alleyway. Mafulish is open. So it's basically you have houses on one side or walls on one side and a house on the other side, and there's a path or a road that goes straight through. That's a mavi, a mafulish. So this alleyway that goes through, that's a mafulish. Says Rabbi Yehuda, you can make an eruv there. You can put a lechi and a kara there. You're fine. The Chachamim say, no. It's considered too similar to a Rishus Harabim, and therefore we do not allow you to go ahead and just put a beam post and say you can carry in the mavui. So that was the machlokes, similar machlokes in both cases. Now, Rabbi Yehuda was always leheter, Chachamim were leisser. And Amar Rabba says, Rabba like Tema, Haino Tamad Rabbi Yehuda Mishum Dikas Saver Beis Mechitzas Daraisa. Says Rabba, don't say the reason why Rabbi Yehuda says, right, they're allowed to carry underneath, right, this house that was built over the road. Or a bridge, you can carry underneath this because all you need is two walls, and you have two walls, let's say on the north and south side, right? Just because the east and west are open. The north side walls you have. Ella mishum l'ksaver pitikar yoyv. Rather, his reason is because we say pitikar yoyv, but really you need four walls. So Abaye asks a question. So Yeser al Kain Am Rabbi Yehuda. We saw this case multiple times. So a person that owns two houses across the street from one another, right? He bought across the street his house, and there's a Rishus Harabim in between, right? The road he lives on is Rishus Harabim. You can go ahead and put a lechi, right, a post, right, on each side, and then you can carry in between the houses, or you put a beam across and you can carry between the houses. The nice you can go ahead and carry in the middle. You can't go ahead and make a Rishus Harabim in such a way, right? So in this case, so what do you see in this brisa? So you see that according to Rabbi Yehuda, all you need is two walls. Just like in that case, all you need is two walls. You need is two houses on both sides. So too, why don't we say that? So too, from our Mishnah, we can say that you have two sides. Yes, from that case, you can infer that Rabbi Yehuda holds all you need is two walls midaraisa. Because if you have two walls midaraisa, then you need a lechi and a kaira. Right? Because remember, if midaraisa, right, you need three walls, then you couldn't put a lechi or kora there. So obviously he holds, right, that all you need is two walls, and so therefore midaraisa it's considered to be right, walled. And then midarabanan we make you go ahead and put up lechis and koras or a lechi or a kora on both sides. So in that case, yes, you see that Rabbi Yehuda holds midaraisa, it's the houses. However, from our case, it's not that Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold you need two walls. It's that if you would just see our Mishnah, you wouldn't be able to say that the reason Rabbi Yehuda says you're allowed to go ahead and carry underneath the bridge, right, is because all you need is two walls, right? Because what could you have said, all right? Because what would you say? You say, no, the reason why you carry is really you need four walls. But since you have pitik or you have a seisim, that's considered to be a wall, midaraisa. So therefore, you can't learn it from there, right? So now the whole point is not that Rabbi Yehuda might argue with it, it's just you can't prove it, right? that was his argument. I'm Rav Ashi Masis and Namidika. And it also says Rav Ashi, you can see even from our Mishnah, you can infer from our Mishnah, the next case from the Mishnah, that it's not because it's two walls, rather it's because it's Pitika Yovev Saise. Why? So if you say that the reason why you can carry under the bridge is not because he already has two walls, midaraisa, but it's rather because we say that the edge of the bridge is considered as like it comes down as a wall, and therefore he has basically four walls. That's the reason why. That's the reason why in our Mishnah they brought another case of making an eruv in a mavi mafulush, right? They brought that case there, right? Because that's a similar case, but that case doesn't have any cover. So even in a case without a bridge, right, you still have a mavi mafulush. You can go ahead and do it. But if you just say, hey, as long as you have two walls, right, then you can carry in between the two walls, even though it's open. Right? So right? What does V'od come and teach us? What is the second case? The second case is identical to the first. Whether or not you have the bridge, if you don't say Pitik or Yovev Saisem, right? Who cares whether or not the bridge was even there? You have two walls here, right? Or you have two houses here and you built a house on top. Who cares with the house on top? We're not using that. Therefore, the first case was talking about something which was covered, like a house built over or a bridge, and the second case was an open alleyway without any cover. And even still, in that case, he would say you can go ahead and make you can go ahead and enclose that mavui because you already have two walls. So Shema Mina, indeed, we see from here that from our Mishnah, you can't necessarily learn out only the case that he holds two walls, but rather also because Pitika or Yovev Seisim. So Hadron Lach. Kol Gagos. Now we finished the ninth parak of Eruvin, Mazel Tov, till we've finished. Now we go on. This is the 10th and final parak. I think it's the 10th and final parak. Yeah, 10th and final parak of Eruvin. All right, it's a Geshmaka, at least the Geshmaka starts. I don't remember from last time. So we say over there, Hamaitzi Tfilin, one who finds tefillin on Shabbos. Now, one is not allowed to go ahead and carry, even if it's something which is sacred. So, hamaitzi tefillin machnisin zug zug. Says the Tanakama, go ahead and put a pair on at a time. In other words, what is a pair? A pair is a shel rosh and a shel yad. Go ahead and put it on, and therefore, because you don't want it lying on the ground, so you can go ahead and put it on, and then walk to another area because now you're wearing it. We'll soon see how we view the wearing it, but you go ahead and you wear it to somewhere where you can safely put it so it doesn't get desecrated. Rav Gamliel Omer Shnayim Shnayim. You know what you can do? You can put two on. If you say, find, let's say, two pairs, you can put on two shel roshes and two shel yads, and then go walk over to another place. According to Tanakam, you have to make two trips, right? You put on the one, you walk there, you walk back, you put it on another one, the other pair, you walk to a yard and then put it down there. We're only talking about old tefillin, meaning it was old tefillin that was established to be used for tefillin of Abba Chadoshos, but maybe if tefillin was made, maybe it wasn't made for the Shem Mitzvah, maybe it was made for a kameya or some other reason, and we don't know it was established as sacred tefillin, then pater. Then he's pater to go ahead and to carry it. He shouldn't go ahead and carry it there, right? And then it says matzan tzvasayim or krichos. Let's say he finds piles of them, right? They're tied together, or it's all in a bundle, right? Or there's too many to go ahead and back and forth. So machshich aleim umivin. Then he goes ahead. He stays there until dark, basically to look over them, make sure they don't get desecrated, and then he goes ahead and he brings them in, I guess after Shabbos. Sakana, but if it's a time of sakana when a person couldn't go ahead and wear tefillin out in the streets. Right, so machzan v'halichlo. He goes ahead and covers them. He covers them so no one will step on them or desecrate them, or do worse. And then he can go ahead and leave. Shimon Aimer, naisin lechavero v'chaver lechavero ad shemigia lechatzer chitzana. What should you do? Go ahead, hand it to a friend to another friend. Don't go ahead and carry it dalad amos. Rather, hand it to one guy, then he hands it to another guy, so on and so forth, until you reach the closest yard and put it there. Ad shemigia lechatzer chitzana v'chein beno. So too, I guess someone gives birth. Right, a woman gives birth in a field on Shabbos. You want to bring the baby in, right? So you go ahead, you hand it one to the other. That's the best way to go ahead and do it. Nice, even 100 people. Not only a baby, not only tefillin, which are kedusha, but even a barrel, even something simple, a barrel, lechavero, he can give it to his friend, lechavero, and each one gives, right, they don't carry it more than dal amos, lechavero, afilu chutz tchum, even all the way outside the chum, you can take it as far as you want. No, no, you can't do that because the items that are owned by a person, those basically are in his tchum on Shabbos. So therefore, if my tchum is here, they can't, take it unlimited, 3,000 amos away from my tchum because that is too far. Person's his property has to remain within his tchum Shabbos, which is, whatever his settlement is, whether it's his town or the place. If he's a traveler, that area, not COVID, I hope, that area. He can go ahead and that item can only stay where he's allowed to walk on Shabbos. So too, you can't take it too far. Fine. So that was the Mishnah. Now let's see the Gemara. That's good geschmack stuff. So let's see. Zug echad in tefelo. So it says the Tanakama, you only put on one pair of tefillin, right? Put on the shel rosh, put on your shel yad, and that's it. But you can't put on more. So So must our Tanakama, right? It doesn't say whose the opinion is the Tanakama. It must not be Rabbi Meir. Why? D Rabbi Meir. If it's Rabbi Meir, we have another case. It says we have a case. A person, let's say a house is on fire, he wants to go ahead and save the stuff and take out his items. So he can't go ahead and just carry it all onto the street. Or you're not like carrying Shabbos. But what could you do? You go ahead and put on 5 sweatshirts, right? You put on 5 coats. Right, same as you would do is if you don't want to pay for a carry-on, so you put on all your clothes, right? You go on Spirit Airlines, so you gotta put on 5 shirts, 5 jackets, right? You put that all on, all the pants. So you do that. The tonight we learn in the Mishnah. If you can go ahead and put on, right? Put into any sort of tashmish that he has. He can put on anything. Right, he can move all his kalim that he needs for Shabbos. He says, "Oh, I need this food for Shabbos." He can take that, and I'm going to put on these clothes and clothes and clothes and clothes, and he can go ahead and take all that out. And over there, vahistama mimai de Rameir. And how do we know that? It's been Rameir. He diktani let says over there, loive shemaitzi paishet v'loive shemaitzi paishet. He says, so what does he do? Puts it on, walks outside, takes it off, goes back in the house, puts more clothes on, take it outside, take it off. Afilu kol yom kuli, the entire day. Divrei Rav Meir. That's the opinion of Rav Meir. So you see, Rav Meir says you can put on multiple articles of clothing. So our Mishnah says you can only put on 1 tefillin shel rosh, 1 tefillin shel yad. So our Tanakama must not be Rabbi Meir. So Rava says no. Afilu tema Rabbi Meir. You can say maybe our opinion is our Mishnah, our Tanakama could even be like Rav Meir. So Hasam derech mavlusho kechol shavi rabbanan. V'acha derech mavlusho kechol shavi rabbanan. Over there, when you wear clothes to take outside your house, you wear it like you wear it during the week, right? So too over here by tefillin, you wear it like during the week. What do you mean? Hasan the bechol kama debayli v'ishlin hatzala sanami sharle. Over there in that case, so a person's going at, he doesn't want to wear a coat, and therefore he's going to wear 3 sweatshirts and 3 shirts. That is something which people do. It gets cold, people put on multiple layers. So putting on multiple layers is a normal thing to do. So therefore, we allow you to put multiple layers on in order to save clothing outside the house. And then, so to by tefillin. But so to by us, you can wear tefillin the way you wear it during the week. During the week, how many pairs of tefillin? I only wear 1. I never wear 2, right? So hacha the bechol hacha the bechol nami zug echad in tefillos. So hasal nami zug echad in tefillos. So too over here, when we're saving the tefillin, you only put on 1 set and not 2. Fine. Right? And by the way, so you're going to ask, okay, I went to the hotel and I saw people wearing 2 in the old city. People wear 2, right? So over there, they were wearing because it's not according. No one says you wear two pairs of tefillin. The whole shaila is tefillin supposed to be this way, like the Rabbeinu Tam or Rashi, right? So that's the whole thing. So what kind of tefillin? So then people wear multiple, but that's not a kasher. Everyone holds. You really, if we knew what kind of tefillin, you only wear 1 shel rosh or 1 shel yad. So now that was the Tanakama says you wear 1. Rabbi Gamliel says you wear 2. You can put on 2 shel rosh and 2 shel yads. So Mike Savar, I understand. So what does he hold? Ik Savar Shabbos Zman Tefillin Hu. Now remember, let's think about this for a second. Tefillin you wear, right? But you don't necessarily you don't wear it as clothing, right? You wear it as a tachshit, right? Same way as a ring, right? You don't wear a ring, right? A ring is a tachshit, right? It's an adornment, right? So tefillin is an adornment. It's a tachshit. Now the question is, right? Is Shabbos a time of tefillin, right? Now, is Shabbos a proper time to go ahead and wear tefillin? And we just have a gzeira, right, not to go ahead and wear it on Shabbos, right? So it's a separate os. Now, the question is, so we say, If Shabbos is really the appropriate time of wearing tefillin, and just midrabanan, we say do not zug echad in tefillah. If it's the time for wearing tefillin, then you should only be allowed to wear one, because if it's the time of doing the mitzvah, so when I put on one, right, I'm doing a mitzvah. So when I'm doing a mitzvah, I'm only allowed to wear one mitzvah, not two, right? We have a problem with it. The problem could be a person cannot go ahead and be violate Baal Tosif, right? Adding, right? So maybe wearing extra could be an issue of Baal Tosif, so too many, so you wear one, not two. So if it's on tefillin, you should only wear one. And if we hold that Shabbos is not the time for tefillin, mishum hatzala derech malbus shar l'rabbanan afilu tvei nami. And if it's say, okay, really Shabbos is not Zman Tefillin, but we allow you to go ahead and wear it derech levush the way you normally wear it during the week. So why do we stop at two? Why doesn't Rabbi Gamliel say you can wear 3 or 4? So the answer the Shabbos allows Zman Tefillin. So make it say, okay, really old Shabbos is not the time of Tefillin. So why do we limit it to 2? You're only allowed to wear it in the place where Tefillin is worn. If that's the case, well, there's only a place for one shel rosh or 2. So Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak says, Rav Shmuel bar Yitzchak, who we're going to also discuss this later on, Makom yesh berosh la'aniach bo shtei tefillin. There's enough space on the head, there's enough gap, I guess, where you're allowed to go ahead and wear beinei between your eyes to wear 2 sets of tefillin. So you can actually wear 2 sets of tefillin since there's space in the makom tefillin to go ahead and wear 2 on your head. We allow you to go ahead and wear, right, 2 shel rosh. So yinicha de rosh the yad. Okay, this makes sense with the shel rosh. What about the hand? So my ikla meimar. So my answer is no. Kedar Rav Huna my Rav like Kedar Rav Huna. Excuse me, Kedar Rav Huna. Dam Rav Huna pamim shadam ba min asada v'chavisa rosho. Sometimes a person is coming from the field and is carrying a bundle, and he goes ahead and carries some of it on his head. So what does he do? He doesn't want to go ahead and carry his wheat bundle on his head along with tefillin sharosh. So he takes his tefillin sharosh and basically he wraps it on his arm. He puts it on his arm. It's one thing that he doesn't want to be derech bizayin, but who says it's really fit to be worn over there? So Ella, no. Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak, right? No, we say like Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak. So makom yesh berosh sharui laniach bo shtei tefillin hachanami. Makom yesh biyad sharui laniach bo shtei tefillin. Just like on the head, right? There's enough space to go ahead and put on 2 tefillin shel rosh. So too, on the arm, there's enough space for 2 tefillin shel yad. So therefore, right, according to Rabbi Gamliel, right, you're allowed to go ahead and wear 2 on your head and 2 on your arm because there is place for 2 on the head and 2 on the arm. That's normal. But if you wear 4 or 5 sets, the tefillin is going to be over here on his ear, right? That is not considered to be, that will be considered to be carrying. It's not wearing anymore, right? You have to wear derech levush, right? And therefore, that's not, if you put it on the side, it doesn't work. And Tana, speaking of tefillin, Tana debei menashe al yadecha, Zakibara says, or yodcha, right? You go ahead and you wear tefillin on your arm. Zakibara, that's your bicep. Beinei necha, when it says between your eyes, zokad kikud, right? That's the code. So heicha, and where is that? I guess it's a place when a baby is born. That area is soft, right? I guess above the hairline. That's the area where where the tefillin is, because that's the area when the baby's born, where the top of the head is not hardened yet. Now, so lema b'derav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak kamifli. Let's say the machloikas is on that which we just quoted of Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak, right? Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak, he was the one we introduced to say that there's place on your head to wear 2 tefillin. So Megan said like this: the Tana Kama does not hold. He says, no, there's only space for 1. Therefore, we have to go ahead and put on 1 pair at a time and walk into the Chatzir. And Rav Gamliel would say, no. He holds like Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak, and he holds, therefore, you can do 2 at a time, but you can't do more because there's not room for 3. The Tana Kama, let's say Rav Shmuel bar Yitzchak, the Tana Kama would hold that he would not hold Rav Shmuel bar Yitzchak because he holds that there's not enough space in the head for more than 1. Rav Gamliel, he holds like Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak, who says there is space for 2. So the answer is no. Lo, the Kuli Alma Isu the Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak. Everybody holds of Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak. V'hacha b'Shabbos zman tefillin kamifli. Maybe they're arguing. We're going to have actually a couple suggestions as to about what the machlokes is. We'll do some today and some tomorrow. But we say over here, v'hacha b'Shabbos zman tefillin kamifli. The Tanakh over here, they're arguing as to whether Shabbos is a time of tefillin. The Tanakh says Shabbos zman tefillin who? The Tanakh holds that today is that really on Shabbos you're allowed to wear tefillin just like Zeir D'Rabbanan we don't. But since it's Shabbos zman tefillin, therefore you have to wear it like the mitzvah. How do I wear tefillin when I do the mitzvah? I only wear one. Therefore, I can't wear more than one. Anything else is considered to be a masu, is considered to be carrying. So therefore, I have to do it the way I do the mitzvah. That's called derech lavush, which is only once pair. Shabbos allows man tefillin. And Rabbi Gamliel will say, no, Shabbos is not a time of tefillin, and therefore you can put it just in the space of tefillin, and there's room for two. If you do what you're saying, or you can say, really, the Kuli Yama Shabbos is man tefillin. Everyone holds really Shabbos, a person should put on tefillin, but it's Zeir D'Rabbanan that we don't wear. The Kuli Yama Shabbos v'hacha b'mitzvahs tzrichas kavana k'mitzvah. They're arguing about whether a person needs kavana to do a mitzvah. In other words, if he's doing something, right, which is a mitzvah, but he doesn't have intentions of doing the mitzvah, is he performing the mitzvah or not? The Tanakh Savar, let's say, actually, I think that there's change here. Where's the Zion here? Right. So he says, according to Tanakh Savar, let's say, right, Rashi changed around there. Right. So he says, let's say it's by kavana, right? So according to the Tanakh, in order to fulfill, right, you need kavana, right? So since you need kavana, right? So actually, right. So loy by kavana, right? So in this case, it says you don't need kavana. So therefore, I'm performing a mitzvah. If I'm performing a mitzvah even without intentions, right? Then I shouldn't. Then I can't wear more than one, because even though I don't intend to fulfill the mitzvah, since I'm wearing it, I'm doing the mitzvah. If I'm doing the mitzvah, I can only wear one pair of tefillin, not two. So therefore, it says the Tanakh, you can only wear one pair at a time. Rabbi Gamliel sabar by kavana. Rabbi Gamliel holds no, you need kavana. In other words, that since I'm not intending to do the mitzvah, I'm intending to go ahead and save the tefillin from being desecrated on the ground. Therefore, since I'm not doing a mitzvah because I'm not intending to do the mitzvah, I'm allowed to wear it just in the place where tefillin is. Therefore, since there's space for two, I can go out and carry two. And tomorrow we'll continue from here. Everyone should have a wonderful day and stay safe. And we'll see everybody tomorrow morning. Mitzvah Shem. Shkoyach.